I didn't see you there. Hey guys, welcome back to another video by Keyba. Happy Thursday. This is when you're actually gonna get to see this. So today I'm just gonna be real short. Before I start the video, I wanted to give a huge shout out to every single one of you who has subscribed to the channel. We're over 300 active subscribers at this point in time. And to me, as just a new YouTuber who started 3 months ago, that was kind of something I didn't see that would possibly happen. And here we are today. So thank all of you. And to anybody new, if you like the content here on this channel, please show support by subscribing to the channel and also click that like button and comment on every single one of my videos and tell me how fabulous my hair is. Thank you. That's all I need. Anyways, let's get to the video. Today's going to be about engineer. So now for the intro. So engineer is a class that I'm pretty much indifferent on if you were to ask me as a new player, should you start playing. When I first started the game in 2012, I wasn't necessarily sold on the class in itself. I mean, granted, that was 8 years ago, almost 9, and so things definitely have changed. But even so, back then, if I was starting out from level 1 through 80 in just a vanilla kind of concept, I wouldn't really find using only a rifle, a pistol, and a shield very appealing to me as a new player. Now, albeit engineers have a few different things that make its mechanics and profession unique in itself, such as engineering kits, like a bomb kit, the med kits, the grenade kits, the flamethrower, the elixir gun, other tool kits, and the mortar kit. So there are those different unique aspects that it has that not every other class has at the moment. Now, if you're interested in those kinds of things, I definitely think maybe at that point in time, I would recommend engineer for you as a new player just coming into the game. I do really like the Toolbox Mechanic overall. I think it's really cool and just a fun way of playing a class such as engineer. The way it works is you get a corresponding skill on your function bar, depending on what utility skill you have equipped. So for example, grenade barrage is part of the grenade kit on my elixir bar, and using that gives you just more variability to be able to play the class the way you want to, depending on what utility you use. And in some cases, you may even pick up a utility skill just because of the certain tool belt function skill that is corresponding with it. Now, when you do unlock the second and third specialization, Scrapper and Hollowsmith for engineer, you get access to a function gyro on Scrapper or Photon Forge, which is the cool yellow matrixy effect that you get around the engineer himself. And to me, what feels unique about this is that if you become one of those individuals that wants to play engineer and ends up mastering the class, you virtually can stick with that profession and have 3 different classes associated with it. Now, if you're a new player, what might be helpful if you decide to pick engineer as a first class is access to turrets, because turrets are just another way for you to be able to attack different monsters in the open world without actually having to do much. You just drop a rifle turret and it shoots any sort of mob for you at that point in time. So it makes it a little bit more forgiving for you to be able to play the game and learn the concepts of the combat. And additionally, by unlocking Scrapper and Hollowsmith, you get access to the hammer and sword. So at the end of it all, if you really were to ask me, should a first-time player of Guild Wars 2 pick up engineer, I would probably lean towards a no. However, I do understand everyone is different, so if you want to try it, feel free. I definitely encourage that you try engineer if it does look appealing to you, just from the description that you can read on the Guild Wars 2 Wiki or from the information that I'm sharing with you here. But ideally, in the best situation would be pick up another class that might be a little bit easier, just so that way you can understand the overall combat mechanic of Guild Wars 2 and then play engineer a little bit more. It's going to make it more fun, at least in my opinion, for you to be able to have unlocked certain abilities such as mounts, to be able to move a lot faster in the map, and play other classes so you can unlock the specializations without having to do all the skill mastery points things like that. That's exactly what I did, and I think that was the best approach, mainly because I don't see myself as someone who would have been able to play engineer even at this point in time from the beginning of the game, trying to fix my way all the way to the end, doing story and unlocking the specializations through conventional PvE modes. But let's just say you're past all that and really you're a returning player, you have unlocked the specializations, and you want to give engineer a shot. I personally started playing engineer as a scrapper, and I didn't touch core NG at all, and I don't necessarily think you need to. At this point in the game, core engineer isn't really touched at all. You will probably find 1 or 2 players who, you know, out of 20 who may or may not be playing a core engineer build, but I do believe that core engineer is just super underperforming with the lack of abilities, the lack of weapons, and the trait lines don't really address any sort of skill that allows it to compete with anything else in the game at this point in time. When I've joined my World v World guild, I was actually one of the scrapper healers that was part of the team doing the GVGs, which stands for Guild versus Guild, some sort of unknown game mode that died out a long time ago, where only people who wanted to feel as if they were really competitive in Guild Wars 2 actually put the time in to play. So besides that, yeah, I mean, open world as well. Support Scrapper is definitely one of the best classes to play, and it's still used today. So if World v World is more of your forte, then you wanted to join a main Zerging group, you probably will have a good chance at joining a team, or anyone's party or squad, mainly because people do appreciate support scrappers for the amount of utility that they can provide in a fight, whether it be healing, poisoning bodies, or rezzing sort of downed allies. Once you get to the point where you're looking into doing any sort of endgame content, such as raids and fractals, I do think unlocking Hollowsmith is going to be your best shot at getting into these parties, mainly because Hollowsmith is a really easy class to play in raids and fractals. You're semi-reliant on boons and boon uptime, but you're not as bad as, say, a Weaver would be when relying on those boons in order to optimize your DPS. It's very common, so engineers, you'll generally see a lot of them. People are expecting them to be played. It's not very hard to learn that class at all, and it's not hard to master either. So that's kind of my next point. Engineer has a very low floor, but a pretty decent ceiling. Now, it is very dependent on build, obviously. There are certain engineer builds, or there have been certain engineer builds that were just so simple to play that they had really no skill ceiling and no skill floor. You could just pick up the class, press the buttons, and you would be very, very effective on that class and build versus anything else. So, like I said, it depends, but I mean, you can look back at previous seasons and see how many people were playing Grenade Engineer to understand the value of it in ranked PvP. Also, during many sort of tournaments as well, a lot of the top tier players were at least playing Engineer on one team or another. So that kind of just shows that Engineer is played at a high level, and a lot of those players will probably beat any other Engineer in a one-on-one mirror match. So I will say that there is a very, very good cap to the skill ceiling. It is higher than most, I do believe, in my opinion, but I do believe that the skill floor, especially for Scrapper and Core NG, is pretty low. Now, I don't think it will be too difficult for any new player or returning player or just somebody looking to play Engineer to pick up Hollowsmith. The main thing that you would have to be worried about is making sure that you don't overheat in most situations, especially in PvP. But if you just duel a few times or focus and attack those NPCs that you see in the Heart of the Mist, I guarantee that after about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, you'll have a better understanding of the heat mechanic, how it works, and how much your heat will increase just depending on the skill that you use. Now, if you like this video or any other videos on my Guild Wars 2 professions and my overall thoughts behind them, please leave a like down below and comment on your own opinions on Engineer and how you feel and what your experiences were picking up this class. You can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Keyba, well, something like that, Keyba_. And I generally stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday as time permits. I think Engineer is in a good place right now, and I think Engineer will be in a very, very good place before the expansion, as well as after the expansion when they do release a new specialization for this class. Historically, the team that has created specializations have done really, really well with Engineer, and I think that this will be just the same. The only concern that I would have is if you're a new player coming into Guild Wars 2, I would recommend that you pick up a first class before you pick up Engineer in order to gather enough materials and skill points through other game modes, so that way once you pick up Engineer you can automatically have Hollowsmith and Scrapper unlocked. And if you're a player that wants to come into Guild Wars 2 specifically for the PvP, then I think Engineer would be a good first class, so long as you have the expansions unlocked, so that way you are able to keep up with the current meta and you're able to sustain yourself long enough to be able to compete again with all the other professions out there. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, like I said, please comment down below, and I will see you guys on Sunday for the next video. Take care.